the 7-year itch. It comes, and it has come to our marriage.
Hi, welcome to our channel at We Are Ocampo.
If you're new here, you haven't subscribed to see new episodes.
So today we just want to talk about our 7 years in marriage. This is our anniversary month, and finally we have hit 7 years. Thank you, Lord. I know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7 years in marriage, so
Yes,
we're very
yes.
excited.
Exactly.
It's been, wow, the years have just flown by.
I know,
man.
they truly have 7 years, 4 children. Wow. Wow, good
This
job.
is our 7th year. It's not like it's only been a day,
I
but
know.
it's also doesn't seem like it's been years, which apparently it is. So yeah, 7th year, here we come. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Yes.
7 years.
So-
7 years living with someone.
I know. And waking up to the same face every day.
It can get boring. Same face.
Well, that's what we want to talk about today. The 7-year itch, as psychiatrists would say and researchers would say, every relationship, when they reach 7 years, they get to a point of the 7-year itch, and we just want to discuss that. Did we get there? Have we gotten there? Are we gonna get there during this year of 7 years in marriage? And we just want to talk about our experience in all this and how the 7 years have been, and just getting here now, reaching here. What are the situations we're going through? We just want to be candid with you. We want to be raw as much as we can, and just let you know that the 7-year itch can be there. Is it there? And yeah, so that's what this video is about. Again, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to our channel and hit on your notification bell for more videos.
Yes. So while we do not live our lives just based on psychologists or psychiatric recommendations or what they think, of course, we're people of the Word. We follow what the Word says. And the Word also says in Peter that husbands, dwell with your wives with knowledge. So living together, especially for longevity, 7 years or even more, requires for us, for both sides, to dwell with understanding, knowing how the other side or your partner ticks, how they think, how they do things. So it's important to understand what are the possible issues that come up and learn how to cope, or if possible solve them, or just to live with them.
So resentment can come in and then boredom can also come in because you wake up, like you said, you wake up to the same person every day for 7 years. You get to do the same thing every day for 7 years. Then how do you keep things going? How do you keep avoiding resentment or communication? The communication can get blurry. If you find you're communicating the same thing over and over again, then you can get tired, or just creating a lot of resentment towards your partner. Okay, I think what has really helped for me as a wife is just being able to fully communicate, like to fully get it out there, maybe the packaging can be wrong or how you say it, but just getting it out and not harboring those feelings, or just pressing them down or just piling them up, then one day blow up. No, if something happens at that time, at that moment, maybe at the end of the day, get together and be like, okay, so during the day you said this and that, I felt this and this, can we talk about this? I really like to iron things out and not just keep them. And I think that has really helped us not to really get there to the 7-year itch. And so, like we said, we don't know if we're there, if we're getting there, if we're gonna be there. But I know we're not there right now. We're not there yet, and but you can see how you could get there. I can see how it's very possible to be there. And that's why, because there's some time back, I think around 5 years, where I'd try, like I'm just gonna let this slide. But it reaches a point, it just piles up, and then one time you just blow up, and you remember this slide, and you remember that other time, and so I realized this is not gonna help me. And so just being able to clear things when it happens at that time is really, really helpful, and just helps you to communication is everything. I cannot emphasize enough how much communication is. And even in the packaging of that communication, I just asking God for the fruits of the Spirit again. Please help me to be gentle in how I'm going to say this. And they say when you're angry, don't speak when you're angry, just wait, because you can say things that you can't take back, and you just keep cutting the person, just cutting them and completely bringing them down. And so it just helps a lot. And I thank God also for my husband. When he's upset, he's just so quiet.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, the intense anger moments, you just keep quiet. But if you have something to say, you say it. But the really intense ones, you just like be so quiet. And so I'm like, if he speaks, he might cut me. So I think there's wisdom in the silence, but that silence cannot be prolonged again. I see couples who just prolong silence, it can lead to other things, because you're silent to your partner, but you're still talking to other people. You're still talking to your boss, you're still talking to your colleagues, you're still talking to your friends. And then but when you come home, or when you're together, you're silent to your partner, and I find that can lead to other things, and you end up becoming roommates, or you're just together for the children. Because I believe that marriage everything can wear out, the feelings and everything, and you just become roommates, or just there for the convenience, or for the culture. You don't want to be called a divorcee and all that, so you're there.
Yes.
But I believe God has put us together, and when He brings man and woman together, the Marriage Institute, we have to fight for it. We have to daily wake up and purpose that I'm going to be in love more than I was yesterday. And even when you're upset, you have to remind yourself that tomorrow I'm gonna love this man, I'm gonna love him. And it is really hard to get there. And also just speaking to others, as you've said, for us, we have pastors who are over us as a couple, and we speak to them, when something goes wrong, and you're like, what, let's just stay, we cannot deal with this now, let's just talk to so and so, and we talk, and it helps, and it helps us, and it has helped me. Because I know he's answerable to somebody, he's accountable to somebody, I am accountable to somebody, and just that accountability aspect helps you to know I can't treat so and so, like I can't treat my spouse like this, because I'm accountable.
I completely agree with everything you just said, babe. Maybe that also shows how after all these years, 7 years, our minds and brains have just been wired together and aligned. Women's brain are definitely different from men's brain, but somehow the values, even when you were speaking just now, I just kept saying yes because it's true, and I feel the same way, that as much as we have differences, let's take for example something upsets you, even if you're upset or angry, that critical communication event, you choosing to talk about it, maybe not in the perfect way or in the complete way, you don't have to finish everything, all the issues, but just letting it out, letting the other person know, can mean the difference between divorce and still being together. Because you hear stories of marriages that it was just an issue of communication, because the wife didn't say it to the husband didn't tell the wife after all these years, and then you end up with the regrets. And also, yes, the 7-year itch, it comes, and it has come to our marriage, but it is what you were saying, to mitigate, to work against it, to work against the coldness, the boredom, the mundane. It just becomes boring, and just the routine. and then the heat and the passion and the love for one another is being covered and being, you know, overpowered by other emotions, like we already mentioned, resentment, other feelings, and like communication. When you don't supply enough oxygen to a plant or to a human being, it dies. So the same way with a relationship, when communication is squeezed, is not given enough bandwidth, you don't talk too much to each other, that relationship also starves off, right? It becomes boring and all those things. So in our relationship, I can say that we have been visited by that 7-year itch, but because by God's grace, we individually, again by God's grace, on our own, like on my side, some saving grace, choosing to communicate even in those huge fights. A relationship, you have small fights and then you have these huge issues, issues that can break your relationship, like things that touches on trust, things that touches on faithfulness, things that touches on honesty, things that touches on responsibility, all those other things. But once we were seeing it come, and for sure you just see that this could lead to the end of the road.
Yes.
This could threaten your marriage. Yes, you already mentioned the societal pressures. Oh, you don't want to be a divorcee.
Yes.
You don't want to be a single parent. You don't want to face the world and say, yes, my marriage has failed, I'm a failure. And for those who have...
That's not funny.
Yes, for those, no, it is funny in the sense that it could be the reason why you're still together.
Oh yeah.
Which should not be the case.
Yes.
Because of what other people think, society thinks, pressure. Yes, the culture is good, society's norms serve a purpose, but it should not be the basis for your marriage. And as we said in other videos, God is the author of marriage. It is Him who put the man and the woman together. And you need to find the real reason, the valid reason why you should be together and to continue together. Yes, we discourage divorce. Jesus said that in the beginning it was not so. So all the more reason that both partners, husband and wife, need to dig through the layers and to find the core. Why were you put together? What God has put together, let no man put asunder. So if you believe that God has put you together, or it was love, or it was this or that, then you go back to that place where you started. And these other things that come, the things that you discover about your wife, about your husband, and if it is not like a deal breaker, because there could be other issues that are deal breakers, or this person is unfaithful, is having another family, or this person is doing this or that, some other things that are really beyond you. But if it's not those things, you can still fight for your marriage, because God has a perfect plan for you and for your marriage, even more than you plan for your marriage. Yeah, so God has a bigger plan for why we're both together than maybe your plan was or my plan was. God has a bigger plan than us. So finding those things, the reasons, digging them deeper, is necessary, because if it's on autopilot, we just don't communicate when we're upset with each other. We follow the tendency of just shutting off the communication between the two of us. It will starve the relationship. And yes, it might be inconvenient to get a divorce or to separate, but if the marriage is dead, then it is dead. So that's what we want to avert. That's what we want to avoid. When we see, we can smell the itch coming drawing near.
You've seen it.
Yes.
Yeah, and also I'll talk about forgiveness. Yes, you can communicate and let the other person know, but where does forgiveness also come
Yes.
in? And you can just continue being upset with the other person, and you reach a point even they are not seeing where you're coming from. And
why don't we talk about that for a minute? Forgiveness,
Yes.
because sometimes your partner can
and you
do
even want
things
to
that are.
revenge.
Yes.
Like,
You hurt me this way.
You
I need
hurt
to-
me, I'm
yes.
going to hurt you back
Yeah.
until you wonder.
And it somehow touches on our sense of fairness and
Yes,
justice. So
yes.
it has to be fair. If you cut me this way, I need to cut
need to
you
cut you
this way
back,
as well.
right?
You need to be cut. And this is your lover you're talking about. But when it comes to those hurt, you can be blinded by that, by the revenge.
Yes, yes.
So there are things your partner can do and will do.
That will completely hurt you. And yes, there are times you've really hurt me, and
I'm sorry
exactly
for
the
that, of
same way.
course.
There are times that I've really hurt you, and I look back and I'll just be like, oh my goodness, I really hurt him.
Okay, that's not nice, but let's face it,
so
that's human nature.
that's human
You try
nature,
to
you're
get
living
even.
together, exactly.
Yeah, you live together. Yes, you're supposed to be lovey-dovey towards each other.
Yes.
But when you're hurt, all you see is red. Yeah.
Yes.
All you see is red. And it takes that heart of God to forgive, because on
Exactly.
our own it's hard. Or sometimes
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
And yet this is your husband, this is your
Yes,
wife.
yes.
Maybe you can overlook it for the sake of, again, the societal pressures, or maybe for the sake of the children,
Yeah, for the children.
for the sake of the facade. What will people say? Like, oh, if we're fighting off, we try to cover it. We cover it, but without that heart of God, it's difficult to forgive each other. So finding that place of forgiveness is touching the heart of God in our heart, putting His heart, using His heart in our hearts. And that's when Jesus said that's how the world will know that we are His disciples, when we love each other. And forgiveness is critical to that.
And just erasing the thought of revenge. Clearly, people, you can see that's something I really had to deal with.
Yes, because
yes,
you're hurt. You were hurt. Like I was doing everything right. Then this other person does this to me. How could he? How could she? Like, no. Okay, if we're to continue, we have to even the score. But revenge is different from restitution. So we're not saying that you should just be blind forgiveness and allow the other person to keep doing what they're doing. Of course, that is not healthy for the relationship, and it will also break apart the marriage. So if issues need to be addressed before forgiveness, forgiveness can be there, and restitution must also come. Restitution, or putting things right. Yes, so revenge is different from restitution or working out things. If both of you will have your own issues, both of us, each person comes with an issue. It's just different in magnitude and different in types. So, and as husband and wife, as lovers, we cover one another. The husband covers the wife and vice versa. So we help each other. The other person's weakness, we don't exploit it, but we help them overcome it. And your weakness, you turn to your partner for them to help you overcome it. Not to help you dig a deeper hole in it, to encourage that bad habit, bad behavior, your weakness. No, because it can sink both of you.
Yeah.
It can sink both of you. So in terms of forgiveness, of issue maybe relating to that, to deal, there's forgiveness and then restitution, or setting things right in that aspect. Yeah, so restitution, but not revenge. You know, we're not the judge, jury, and what the
no,
lawyer.
I said there's always that need.
No, I'm
to
not saying.
revenge.
I'm not saying it's you.
Okay.
I'm just saying it's the revenge is different from that restitution and setting things right. But forgiveness has to be there, which is it should be another whole video. Because forgiveness, it is powerful but difficult to
get there.
And especially true forgiveness.
Yes.
So
Not
forgiveness.
bringing it up. You move forward and you bring it up, and you move forward and you bring it up. Oh, that can kill a marriage.
Yes, it can kill a marriage. And so again, but with the restitution piece of it, the person who did wrong should not repeat it. And that's the purpose of the restitution, or the working out the issues, whatever it is. And so forgiveness, again, is a powerful antidote to the 7-year itch. And we've done it, we've experienced it in our marriage, staving off that boredom, that 7-year itch.